that special good you only get when you're feeling hopeful. And I wanted to share my hopefulness with somebody. And Ron was the only person I knew had had a terrible year, so I called him. Because I wanted to say, don't worry, it's going to be great. His youngest son answered, he got on the phone and he said, I'm so glad you called. I'm so glad you called. And for the next 20 minutes, I made fun of all the things he did wrong, and we just laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed. And then he said, I really do want to see you again. And I said, okay, I have New Year's Day off. You're allowed to come over tomorrow at 2 p.m. Bring sandwiches and wine. I remember the first time. I got up from the table. It was near the window. I was a woman who'd been single for a year. You were a man whose wife had died. I stood near you, and you lifted my long, sheer silk shirt and kissed my stomach. We went to dinner across the street from my apartment. He spent the night, and we got married 1 year later on his idea, New Year's Day at 2 p.m. We spent almost every moment together for the next 17 years. And just when I was about to give up on the idea of online dating, I mean, who knew there were so many ways to be disappointed? My friend Roger, who at the age of 78 had never had a single relationship, inspired by my tales of Bumble, he went on a dating site, Older Gay Men in Fresno. And his first date, turned into a friendship, into a relationship, into being a couple, and now they're going down the road together. And his Mr. Right is a chef. Yeah, cherry pies and blowjobs. I rest my case. I'm starting to think that maybe online dating is perfect for me. It's a safe space. I can have a kind of faux romantic life with no danger of meeting anyone that will threaten to displace my husband. I have a large bowl of water on the deck. A cardinal came to sit on the edge, first just drinking and then it wanted to bathe itself. But the bowl is too deep for a bird bath. It sat on the edge, desperate to get in, but knowing in its animal sense it was too deep. It fretted and kept moving along the edge, trying to figure out a way to get in without drowning. I, too, sit on the edge of my former life, staring into the abyss of my future, knowing it is too deep for me to jump. So like my avian friend, I walk along the edge, looking, wondering if it will ever become a place I can wade or even dive into. Abyss, yeah. Abyss. Okay. Oh, vocabulary.com. The noun abyss refers to a deep chasm, either literal or figurative, making a momentous life decision with great uncertainty, like enrolling in a clown college. Might feel like jumping into the abyss. Oh, wow. Tell me that didn't totally redefine abyss for you. Maybe redefinition is the key to happiness. I mean, we're all alchemists. We can turn the lead of our lives into gold. So, let's redefine one of my dates. My frog is 80 years old. 80 is old in anyone's book, whereas I think of myself as old adjacent. And what also adds to his frogginess is that little hop in his step, the hallmark of old people trying to read young.
This delightful older gentleman is retired, but he's found his dream job, being a tour guide. So for our date, he is taking me to one of the secret wonders of the world, a built-to-scale model of the city of New York. All 5 boroughs, buildings, bridges, rivers, everything on the site of the 1964 World's Fair. I always wanted to go there, and he actually took me. And from there, we go on to discover the Chinese cuisine of Flushing. And it is a real discovery. I mean, truly, if your dream of seeing China has eluded you, take the 7 train to Queens. I mean, it is rather remarkable, but he is like Marco Polo discovering the Jung dynasty. I love this, it's so vibrant. Throwing his arms up in the air and hopping around with suspenders holding up his pants because he has no ass. From there, we pass an actual slaughterhouse where the smell of blood pours out, and I am over it. We stagger on, or in his case, hop from restaurant to restaurant because he is so young and vibrant, it must be a spontaneous choice. Who needs the Michelin guide when there are these lovely photos of bat wing, pig intestine, and chicken beak? So I pick up my food while he talks and talks and talks and talks. And it hits me. He's a tour guide. He's up front with a microphone. I have no lines in this scenario. I must say, the main discovery I've had of my life among the frog tribe is that frogs as a species are very talkative. These men are human jukeboxes, and once they start, there's no stopping them. You are not required to speak, and you will not be asked a single question. I mean, maybe it's dating age appropriately. By the time they get to me, they have a whole lifetime to download. Or maybe I'm the first person who ever listened to him. It's kind of touching. Wait. Shoo. We were going to redefine my date experience, but hold on. I think there's a bigger idea here. I think maybe this defining abyss as enrolling in a clown college might be the answer. If I thought of my frogs as clowns, I'm not trying to kiss a frog and hope he becomes a prince. I'm kissing a clown. Well, it certainly would have helped with that guy who mentioned several times during lunch that he had an edgy sense of humor without providing even a glimmer of evidence. But, if I could have had a sense of humor about that, I might have teased him about it, broken some kind of ice and released his inner Lenny Bruce. I mean, if I could have seen him as a clown, I might have been more sympathetic. I mean, what's sadder than a clown that's not funny? I'll tell you what's sadder, if that clown is your date. Now, we're at the moment of parting, and he says, so, are we going to see each other again? And I said, yeah, maybe. Maybe, that means no. No, it means maybe. Well, that's not going to get you to your goal. And what is my goal? And Mr. Edgy Sense of Humor says, SEX. I'm speechless. What I wished I had said was, if my goal is SEX, it's not going to be with YOU. Now, Ron had an actual sense of humor. The real thing, totally unique and unfettered imagination. Needless to say, our styles were different. When our styles met, it was magic. We are riding in the car, as we have so many times, over roads we know not by heart but well, except I am driving now. As we pass the sign they changed at the company that raises lab rats, I lament the new corporate logo, which is so bland and ugly, replacing
the wildly inappropriate one, the one we always thrilled to see in all its terrible glory. A rat in a graduation cap and gown with a syringe tucked under his arm. So wrong, and yet so hilarious. I wonder if I will ever know anyone again who sees these things the way I do. I grab your arm and I want to shout, don't go, don't go, don't go. But you are going. And so I just say, I love you. I love you too, you say. He even got a laugh out of the grim woman that was testing him for dementia. Talk about a tough room. I watched in horror as she asked him to draw a clock, and he couldn't. My husband with a glorious mind, who had written a best-selling novel seemingly only moments before, was now being judged by his knowledge of the mundane. Inside, I'm screaming, who cares what day of the week it is? He's an artist. He doesn't need to know that. He looked to me for help, but I had to sit in silence. It was like watching someone drown and you don't know how to swim. And during all this, she asked him to name his fingers. She points to his thumb. He gets better at this. Then she points to this one. She said, what's this called? Finger. No, what's its name? Fred? Isn't a sense of humor a sign of intelligence? The ability to make unexpected associations, to point out the absurdity of this stupid fucking test of what was happening to our lives. But laughter couldn't change the diagnosis, and so began the dimming of his light, but it never dimmed the light coming from his heart. He is the sunniest of beings now. Every store he goes into, you have a wonderful store. Every person he sees, hi, how are ya? He's like a one-man welcome wagon. But every once in a great while, the groundhog emerges to test the weather, and he says, as he did on our usual walk, am I headed for Palookaville? After a pause, I say, yes. He said, I don't want to go. And I said, I know, but there is nothing to be done. Okay, he says with a shrug, and we continue on our walk. And so we began our journey to Palookaville.